What's up, world? This is Ryan Banta again. This is week 3, day 4, Thursday. After a day of active recovery, we usually follow that up with a speed power day, typically maximum velocity or acceleration based, along with plyometrics. Now, the reason why we typically do these type of workouts on a Thursday is that we're 48 hours away from competing in a track meet. And if you look at some of the research, basically it takes about 48 hours for the athlete to recover neurologically from whatever activity they did 2 days, obviously earlier. And so what we do here is we have an acceleration, capacity day, so to speak, and we do 2 sets of 2 to 60 meters, or you can do 3 times 3 to 60 meters, whatever you want. When it's 2 times 2, that's typically our rookies, and 3 times 3 is typically our more advanced athletes. Now, we accelerated 85 to 90%. As I've gotten more involved with Tony Holler and Chris Corfus and following those guys, we're pretty much at maximum effort through those runs. And we actually probably give them more than 6 minutes rest in between sets, and certainly more in between reps. Again, a general rule is you give about 1 minute for every 10 meters between a rep, and then a lot more between sets. So we probably have pushed that more now out to, from this being 3, this being turned into a 6, and this being turned into a 10 in between. And that allows us to give that full maximum effort for a maximum velocity day. And since you're doing 60 meters, you're working on accelerating. We're going to come out of the blocks on this particular day. Now, typically our third week, we have a time trial, and we have our 400 and our 200 and our 800 time trials on different days. If we choose to do a 100-meter time trial, we'll do it on a Thursday, again, because that's when we do our speed power day. So you want to maximize the reps, and you want to make sure the themes make sense in what you're doing in training. And because of that, that's where we would place our 100-meter time trial. Now, usually, most seasons, I host a meet called the Park Rock Meet, where I have unlimited entries in the running events, and that way we get everybody in an event, in a contest situation, to really see what they can do. And we usually use that as a time trial because that's the first meet of the year. When we do these, a lot of times we'll set up cones to see how far they can drive. One of the things we'll do is see how far they can drive in 7 steps, and then on their 7th step, you drop a cone. What we found is by cueing to a mark, you actually get a bigger and better performance out of the athlete having some sort of zone or target to hit. And then you can put a little paint on the cone for them, and they set that cone up the distance away from them. So they always have a goal to drive to. Now, granted, Lateef Thomas has talked about how this isn't necessarily something that he would do unless the athletes can actually get out of the blocks. We teach everybody to get out of the blocks, and obviously some are better than others. But as we move forward, that's what we want to do. Now, with Plyometrics, I've been talking about this. I'm actually going to switch over to Boo's site in a little bit. I do want to remind you guys of the descending pace 100 meters cool down that we do with our sprinters at the end after we do those reps of 60. So what happens with these, again, is that these start off really fast and get slower. And one of the things I like to do as well, especially now that most people have turf in our area, we like to do these barefoot if the weather allows. Now, our quote of the day is, "Success is a peace of mind which is direct result of self-satisfaction and knowing you did your best to become the best you were capable of becoming." John Wooden. If you ever wanted to research a great coach in any sport, John Wooden is the best. And his best book actually wasn't written by him, but it was written about him. And it was basically, the book was titled, "They Have Not Been Taught Until They Have Learned," or a reverse of that title. But anyway, it's a really, really good book into breaking down what he actually did in practice to maximize his efforts for his team and his program. And it's really, really, really good. And it's applicable to any sport, and especially track and field. As well, for our distance runners, you'll see we have an 800-meter time trial there. And you'll notice we're doing 800s. Again, this top group is going to be our group that is our returning state-type people. This group here is our returning veterans who are kind of untrained. And this group here is our rookie group. And then you'll see the paces again. You'll see this is the mile time, and then this is the expectation for the effort of the 800. Again, if you have to do these on the road, or on the sidewalk or at a park, obviously we're going to just push for this amount of time. Now, the 400-meter jog in between, there's a key to this, and this is one of those things that Dr. Daniels didn't really talk about in most of his books. Almost every one of his speed workouts was on the hop with incomplete recovery with a jog in between. So it's an active recovery in between. Now, our general rule is we do not allow them to go like double the time that it takes for them to run a lap at speed. So we don't want them going to a point where it's so slow that they look like they're walking or they're not even really giving an effort. So we're like, look, we don't want you going double the time for a lap that it would take you to complete one lap on your really fast rep of 800 meters. So you just take that 800-meter time and cut it in half and say, look, it can't be double that. And I mean, that's really slow, you know. And so obviously most kids get that. Most kids get a rhythm that's pretty good. And again, because we don't want them doing the whole on your calves, hop jog type thing, we still want a nice rhythm in between on the active recovery. If you look in the hurdle group, we're going back to that workout I highlighted previously. And then here with the 100-meter hurdle group, we're going 10 to 9 hurdles, again, medium recovery, and then we're doing flat out sprints as well behind that. So that's a little bit different from the two groups there that we have. And again, this is for our 100-meter hurdlers, and this is for our 300-meter hurdlers. And these are varsity and rookie. This is the low hurdle group, and then you can even slide in a varsity hurdle group down here where we have something completely different going on and more specific of a rhythm for athletes that, you know, obviously need a more specific rhythm and distance. You'll also notice that our recovery down there is the same as well. Again, on this, you can do this on a grass field. You can do this in a park. You can do this on a track. And again, you can do this on your own. Even if you don't know the exact distances, you can do the time. All right, now I want to highlight the plyometrics real quick. So Boo Schneider is probably the best coach in the world for jumps, and he's got a really good series here. And so we're just going to kind of go through this. So this is what a lot of people at Altus will call a rudiment series. I know that Boo has a different name for this, but you'll notice that these are a lot of those jumps. There's the speed skater I talked about previously the other day. And then these are your push switches that we talked about off of a bench or a box. These are your line hops side to side. And then these are in and out, which we don't often use. And we often don't use this either, but this is a good rudiment series. The Altus folks use this jump series actually as a cool down, and we've done that as well. When you're doing in-place jumps, I usually have them at the back because I want the athlete to kind of reorganize the tissue, kind of cool down, and also it's not so impactful that it's exhaustive. And this is something that sometimes will actually replace those deep crescendo runs for as well. And this is a kind of split jump. And then here you've got more of an advanced tuck jump. And then again, more of a single leg action hopping there. And this would probably be your second phase that you would do. Those are the 180s I had talked about previously. And then those are nice scissor jumps. And then these are crossovers, which you saw in my body strength, body weight activity jump training. So as you can see here, he's got a lot of good stuff. If you're looking for that video, it's Boo Schneider on in-place jump training. Moving on to a little bit more advanced plyometrics. This is an article I wrote for Joel Smith's website, Just-Fly-Sports. If you haven't gone to this website, you need to bookmark this. He's got tons of podcasts and articles written by yours truly, but I mean, since I've been on there 4 years ago, I mean, he's just taken off. He's got a couple of books. In fact, his book that's up here is really, really, really good. And a lot of this stuff you can do at home to improve speed strength. So the next phase of jumps that we would do from our in-place jumps would be multi-jumps, which is where you're going to be jumping over barriers. Again, projecting the hips up is more important than tucking your legs. The height we're looking for is in the hips, not so much in the feet. So when we're looking at this particular jump, okay, it's always good to have another barrier because we get more of an improvement and more of a bounce out of that jump from that. Then moving down, after we get to that, we'll do some endurance bounding. And endurance bounding is, you know, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. And these are really great. And what's interesting about bounding is that this is one of the skills that a lot of athletes have like lost. But again, even if you don't have like a track or a sidewalk or a street you feel comfortable, This right here, doing this every other day as an activity for my sprinters, especially on a speed power day, guys, you can get so much done just from doing this type of stuff, hopping from one leg to another in an explosive action. Then you can move to depth jumps. Now, not all of us have boxes, but I'm sure most of us have a chair or a stool or a bench or steps that we can step off to. You don't move to depth jumping until you've been able to master the three others, which are the in-place jumps, the bounding, endurance bounding, jumping over hurdles or other cones or targets like that. But then you would get to this. Now, the importance of depth jumping is that we're looking for a free fall action, then the body amortizing the muscle tissue, and then responding explosively up. So we're not jumping off, we're stepping off. See how he's stepping off? And then boom, we control it, reach up. And then what Joel has found out through some of his research is that if we have a target that's above us or below us, so like we're either going to depth jump over an object or depth jumping up to reach to a target, that you actually get a higher performance out of that jump through his research. And that's found to, obviously, if you're trying to improve your vertical or improve your power, having a target like that is really, really, really useful. And then my favorite is probably doing the depth jumps with some sort of other apparatus. So here we've got a medicine ball, and we're exploding up and into the air with it. So not only are we jumping down, but we're exploding up with it and forcing it up. And if you think about that, those first couple of steps out of the blocks, man, that is a great activity to do. And again, you don't need a super high box to step off of. And that's a pretty decent sized box. And then explode up. So that would probably be our most advanced skill set that we're looking to do. And then this is one of my favorites. This is my baby, which a lot of people have been controversial about this one and said that they don't necessarily agree with it. I really like it, especially when we're teaching the transition from the acceleration phase into the transition to max velocity. Plus, it teaches an athlete to be powerful off of both legs and much more specific to sprinting. So this is one of my inventions, if you will, and one of my babies. And so we, again, like a depth jump, we're stepping off, not jumping off, but you'll see there's a good push there, okay? And we're going to load up the front leg, and then we're going to run off of it. And this athlete is the first decathlete, USATF decathlete champion. And I know that doesn't look too crazy, okay? And it's not supposed to be. It's just to teach that push off of that foot and have some balance and explode out. And that's how you kind of blend all those skill sets together. Now, speaking of acceleration, moving to that. So I have an article that's on Jimson Lee's site. You can see it up here, okay? It's hard to find. It's kind of hidden. And for whatever reason, my chapter that's free to download is no longer here. If you want my chapter for free, I will give it to you because I still have it. But basically, this article here, and there's a ton of great stuff on Jimson Lee's website about sprinting. And I mean, he's been going at it now for probably 15 years on this website. But anyway, I break down how you set up your blocks and how you do that, and teaching the methods that we do for our block start. And I also talk about how to actually think of the acceleration like spinning a basketball on your finger. So this is a really, really good kind of primer article to teach you how to do the things that we're trying to get done here with this particular acceleration and max velocity workout. So this is something I think will be very valuable for you. I hope you guys like this. And for my PCH athletes, I'm going to send this out to you now along with yesterday's video because I think that did not get to you guys in time. So that way you'll have it for next week when we do another active recovery day. Guys, if you have any other questions or things that you want to know about or some stuff you found interesting on my plan that I have in front of you, or concepts that I use in terms of my training, or the resources I showed you from Jimson Lee's Speedendurance site, Joel Smith's Just-Fly-Sports, or Check Schneider's jump program and some of his stuff, please feel free to put comments below, ask me questions. This needs to be interactive. While we're at home kind of waiting these things out, this is really important for me to connect with you, and I want you to connect with me through this discussion that we're going to have daily. Thanks, guys, for listening. Love you.